Welcome to no frills, low fuss, low cost motorcycling with the Interceptor 650. Take it away, previous Tim.
Today's a good day. Today's a good day to be alive because I'm looking at this. What do you reckon?
Yeah, today's a good day because the sun's out. The roads are dry, if not a little shitty. That's alright.
Just keep showing your toes. Just one thing I want to do while I've got my microphone on. Okay, now. You need that because you can't hear the engine. You definitely can't hear the engine now. I think I know which one of us wins. Right, I'm leading. That turn circle's really good. Off we toddle. So I'm on a cheery, quirky little ride. Being overtaken by my dad, thank you for that. If you can't hear much of the bike beneath me, it's because of that thing up front. So as mentioned, this is a brand new bike. I don't even know what the mileage is, but it won't be much. So I've been told to keep it under 5,000, but happily, this thing makes most of its power before 5,000 anyway. So I don't feel much like I'm compromising. Oh, I'm being wafted on. Happily. Thanks. So it's not the lightest of bikes, it's 213 kilograms, I believe, usable weight. And obviously it's not got a huge amount of power to play with, but it doesn't feel lackluster. It feels alright. You can find its limitations, and I think if you were using this thing as your first big bike, or even your A2 bike, you're going to get pretty comfortable with it pretty quick. But that's not a bad thing. Depends where you're riding really, and depends if you'll find that frustrating. But everything else about it is pretty nice. So what's not nice is that greasy road. You minger. Right, gents. Woo. You can get a decent lean on it. I know they've said that if you're looking for corners cut, because it is only £5,500, then you'll find it in the suspension, but it doesn't feel awful. You can still ride fairly quickly without worrying about the rear end lard-arsing around. Beautiful. I mean, days like this got to make you happy, ain't they? Sunny day, dry road, mostly. Decent bike. I don't ask for a lot, but this is my happy place.
So let's break down the information, starting with the engine. Bit of a new direction for Royal Enfield, as I'm sure you're aware. This is a brand new engine for them. It is their 650 twin. Technically 648cc, 47 horsepower at 7,250 revs, 38 foot-pounds at 5,250, but it makes a lot of usable torque even as low as 2,000 upwards. One of the big questions you're going to get asked with this bike and with its power output is whether or not it feels slightly underpowered. And I have to say, yeah, it probably does. But if you're getting on this thing lusting after more power, then you're probably missing the point. And it probably isn't the bike for you.
Something you would appreciate as a new rider on this thing is how forgiving the throttle is. You really can pin it. I mean, that's wide open. So you can use that in a town without bouncing all over the place or having to tease the clutch. You can equally wring its neck and feel happy. That was quite a nice noise. Yeah. There's that engine. Finally got to hear a little waft of it.
It's got a seat height of 804mm, it's got 18-inch wheels as well, and the proportions are quite stubby, I would say. That's probably how I would describe it. The big bench seat means that you can move around and change your position if you need. If you want to be slightly further back and lean forward, hunkering on the bike, then you can do that because there is nothing on the seat to stop you. If this thing had more power, you'd probably find yourself sliding all over the place. Luckily it doesn't.
It's a great town bike, it really is. I mean, if it returns good mileage and is reliable, which is my big question mark, because it is still a little bit too new to work that out, then it's a cracking town bike.
Tank size of 13.7 litres. Apparently it will do 70 miles per gallon. Sure, yeah, why not? And 155 miles. It is quite remarkable what they have managed to get out of a bike that works so well in a town, and I would say combined with the throttle and the handling, the steering geometry of it, it's almost the perfect town bike, which is perhaps unsurprising considering where this thing is going to be used. But it also performs well when you get it on some faster sweeping roads. The only time it will falter really is when we come to suspension, which as you'll probably be aware is non-adjustable on the front and is adjustable only for preload on the back, and has been described by some people as budget.
You can feel it wobble around a little bit there. I think we found something of a limitation.
For the most part it was fine. The only thing I would say is possibly it was a little soft on the rear, so it squatted down a bit and then it shook just slightly coming out of the corner, but not in an alarming fashion at all. And you really do have to push it hard to find its limitation. Brakes are also slightly cheaper. That is somewhere they've saved some money, but not in a concerning way. Again, they've still got decent Brembo / by Brembo, Bybury brakes. And of course you have ABS.
Same with a lot of bikes, it's not straight line speed that you're expecting from this thing. And it's not that that's going to give you your rush. You get on a sports bike and you want to get a knee down. You get on a Harley and you want straight roads to lay down that speed. You get on something like this and it's just about having a nice smooth ride. Engaging.
And then of course the major plus point for this bike, as I'm sure you're all aware, it comes in around £5,500 in the UK. Short of a pound. That is a good price, no two ways about it. However, if you are looking for corners that they have cut, you will be able to find them. Some of them in the finish. I'm speaking mainly of the lights because they are gopping. The term is gopping. If you haven't used it before, start using it. It's a great word. And it very accurately describes those disgusting bulky indicators and that tail light. As well as that, when you get to some of the switch gear and the dash that you're looking at, you can see that it's not quite as refined as some bikes out there. And some of them are actually at similar price points. I'm thinking mainly of the Honda 500 range, the CB and the CMX 500. I actually think the fit and finish on the Honda is probably a little bit better.
Something you might want to consider though is that the service intervals are pretty close together. I mean, I was told in the shop the first one's 300 miles, which is pretty close. Not a huge problem, you shouldn't expect to have to do anything at 300 miles, but then I think, well, they said about 2,000-3,000 after that.
I've not owned a Royal Enfield, but I know they don't have the best reputation as far as longevity goes, or not having to get out your spanner set. Just ask my dad. I shouldn't joke, it's a very serious point. But the service intervals I think are around 3,000. That's quite soon, I have to say. And I can easily do over 3,000 in a year. Maybe that doesn't worry you. Maybe you've had a Royal Enfield before. It's just something to be aware of.
What more do you want on a sunny day? Doesn't matter what set of wheels it is. To a degree. Something I keep meaning to say about any bike really is they don't really make bad bikes anymore. They're all just different shades of good. You can see where they've cut corners, you can see where they've skimped a little bit on price. But that's the only reason you're getting it for £5,500. If you want more than that, if you want a nicer feeling clutch, it's light, don't get me wrong, it just feels cheap. If you want a smoother gearbox, if you want better suspension, if you want better level of metal or plastic and all your indicators and other things, then you pay more money, you pay a bigger premium. But when it all comes down to it, if it's mechanically sound, what does it matter how cheap the bars look? You're still going to get off it with a grin on your face.
Ultimately, I stand by my original point. This is no frills, no fuss or low fuss, and low cost motorcycling, which for a lot of people will be very appealing. As a first bike or just an unintimidating set of wheels, you can't ask for much more than this bike offers. On the right day, on the right roads, this thing's going to be a blast.
Oh yeah, oh lovely bit of road that, oh yes. Well, it was clean when I took it out, probably won't be now.
Will I end up buying it? Probably not, in all honesty. It certainly is one of the bikes I'm considering, and I will be doing a roundup of all of the bikes that I've tested so far that fall close to this category. So if you're looking to compare it to some other bikes, then that will be coming up soon. If you're new, feel free to subscribe. If you're returning, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. On to the next!